This is the ERISA Edge, bringing you fast, insightful, and actionable advice on fiduciary responsibilities and retirement plans. I'm Isaac Wood, and our meaningfully different discussion today will focus on are all pooled plan providers created equal? And maybe your question for me today is, Isaac, what is a pooled plan provider? Well, I'm glad you asked. See, pooled plan providers are the named fiduciary for pooled employer plans, commonly referred to as PEPs. Now, a PEP is a defined contribution plan, like a 401k plan, in which multiple employers can participate. When employers join the PEP, they delegate their named fiduciary role to a third party known as the pooled plan provider, or the PPP. See what they did there? And so that PPP takes on the full fiduciary weight and responsibility of the entirety of the PEP for every participating employer that joins the PEP. Pooled plan provider should have some experience in fiduciary governance. In the standalone 401k world, the named fiduciary is known as a 402A named fiduciary. There's a handful of service providers that provide this service for standalone 401k plans. But when we look into the PEP world, and PEPs were brought to us by the Secure Act in 2019 and first made available to the public in 2021. Since then, we have seen over 300 unique pooled plan providers register with the Department of Labor. That's a lot of individuals, and that is more than there are named fiduciaries providing those services for standalone plans. And so there's no restrictions on who can register with the Department of Labor to be a pooled plan provider. So as a financial advisor, as a plan sponsor, how do you know whether the pooled plan provider for the PEP that you're considering actually knows what they're doing when it comes to fiduciary governance? Well, I thought we'd give you a couple questions that you can ask the PPP of the PEP that you're looking for to help uncover whether or not they know what they're doing from a fiduciary governance perspective. And so that first question that you can ask these PPP is, how does the pooled plan provider document substantive procedural prudence for the PEP? You see, what ERISA says of the named fiduciary of any 401k plan, and thus what they say about the pooled plan provider of any pooled employer plan, is that they must be able to document substantive procedural prudence. What does that mean in common English? That means, do they have policies and procedures in place that they are able to point to, that they follow to make sure that this PEP is operating to the highest fiduciary standards under ERISA? Do they have procedures in place, and are they following them? That's a simple question, but you'd be surprised how many pooled plan providers are not able to document substantive procedural prudence. Another responsibility of the PPP, according to ERISA, is that they are tasked with monitoring all of the service providers inside the PEP. We're talking about financial advisor. We're talking about record keeper. We're talking about the third-party administrator. We're talking about your 338 investment fiduciary. How are they monitoring these service providers? And more importantly, how are they documenting the way in which they're monitoring these service providers? Do they have conversations with them? Are they documenting those conversations? How are they holding them up to the highest standard under ERISA? Another question to follow up with these PPPs is, how are they certifying the fiduciary compliance of all the fiduciary roles and responsibilities under ERISA? There are over 80 unique fiduciary roles and responsibilities that ERISA holds the PPP responsible for. Now, many of those responsibilities are actually being executed by those service providers that we talked about earlier. But how is that PPP able to certify to the Department of Labor that all of the fiduciary roles and responsibilities are actually being complied with, being executed to the highest standards under ERISA? Do they have a process? Do they have procedures? That should sound familiar, that they are working through to certify that all of those fiduciary roles and responsibilities are being executed adequately by the service providers on this plan? So ask these pool plan providers that you're working with, ask them these questions and see what their response is. How are they doing these jobs? These are three major roles of a pooled plan provider, according to ERISA, are the PPPs that you're working with and the PEPs that you're getting proposals for. Are they able to answer these questions in an appropriate manner so that you can feel confident that the PPPs that you work with are actually fiduciarily sound and doing their duty to the highest standard under ERISA? Great questions to ask. Hopefully this has been a great value to you, and you can put these questions into action as you go out and engage in one of the most exciting topics in the 401k industry. So thanks for watching the ERISA Edge. If you found this helpful, be sure to follow Fiduciary Wise for more insights on fiduciary responsibilities and retirement plans. Stay tuned for our next video, and I'll see you soon.